Welcome to Double Exposure, where we talk about newly released films and TV shows. I'm Riyad and this is Omar. And in this episode, we'll be discussing Spider-Man No Way Home.
So we just got back from the cinema, and for those who haven't watched it yet, gotta say that you won't be disappointed.
Yes, everything you have expected from all the rumors, from all the leaks that you have heard, everything is real, everything is true. And the cat's it is out of the bag. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, they're back. They're back in this film. So let's start our discussion with what the film started.
So we just pick off where the last one left off, with Joe Jonah Jameson just showing us the video of Quentin Beck Mysterio just revealing the identity of Spider-Man to the whole world. And we see basically the aftermath of how the people of New York seeing them react to the Spider-Man.
Because it happens too fast. It happens so fast. We see that Spider-Man tries to take the Mary Jane with him, then swings to the most safest place that he can call, the apartment that he lives in with his aunt, and he tries to close all the windows. But as soon as the TV is opened, we see the news anchors and all the helicopters just going around their apartment.
Start to basically harass him and fly around his apartment complex.
And but personally for me, I thought that the idea of his identity and him being counted as a criminal murderer went on a little bit faster. But for this film, it wasn't actually an idea to push forward, to make Peter Parker go ask Doctor Strange for his help. And his identity crisis wasn't solved. Only his crime charges were solved with the help of very popular character Matt Murdock. So he's introduced to MCU.
The Daredevil.
Yeah.
Who basically comes around and immediately solved all his court cases. He says that any charges that were pressed against you are dropped. I solved it. But
it does not change public opinion about you.
Even though his screen time was short, he is memorable.
Yeah,
he is a fan favorite character.
Yeah, it was memorable. I remember as soon as everyone saw his cane, our cinema saloon just clapped. Everyone was screaming.
I mean, I hope to see more of him in later installments.
We will. It seems that we're gonna see him. So, one of the plot developments is that Peter, MJ, and Ned are rejected from MIT. We're introduced that they would like to study there together.
Yeah. We get a quick montage of him getting rejected from all the previous universities.
I don't think that he's rejected. I think he is getting acceptance letter, but not from MIT or something like that.
No. He was getting rejected. They were rejected. He was rejected, and MIT was his last choice.
He is rejected because of the things happened. The public image. Okay.
Because MJ and Ned are so closely associated with him, they are too their letters written to them explain that due to early things happening
in controversial
things happening around you and Spider-Man, your application has been rejected.
We're not going forward with you, and this leads, as from the trailers, as from everything that we've seen.
I mean, he gets pressured in school, in normal world. Someone throws a brick which Matt Murdock catches, and
it is written there that Mysterio was right or something. We
believe
in Mysterio.
Thanos was right
in Hawkeye TV show.
And we see him being super desperate. So logically, he goes to Doctor Strange, the neighborhood wizard, and asks him to basically reverse what happened.
Yeah,
he wants to basically erase the memories of people knowing his identity.
But that's the thing. We're introduced to Wong again, one of the popular.
Who's apparently
characters.
Now the
Sorcerer Supreme. And because Doctor Strange was blipped for 5 years, technically he is Sorcerer Supreme. When he hears about this spell, he says that it's a little bit risky, but Doctor Strange says that we already did that. Do you remember about a party that we did? And Wong says that, what party? So it kind of, for us as an audience, it introduces that this spell could work, but from the trailers, from everything, we know that this spell will be botched. So
it basically causes the main conflict of the story by bringing in the other villains in Spider-Man.
Yes, and it seems that the spell would have gone really good if it wasn't Spider-Man just changing, the Peter Parker changing the conditions of the spell. First, it was like everyone will forget that Peter Parker is
and I would
Spider-Man.
also like to note how casually they introduced Doctor Strange. Felt like a comic book
Yes.
where like a character would just appear out
Pop
of
out,
nowhere
yeah,
without
pop out.
any like fanfare. He didn't get like a cool introduction. He was just there. Peter went to him, and they started to interact.
Yeah, yeah.
And as more the cinematic universe is expanded, I hope to see even more like casual interactions between all the characters.
Hopefully we have that, because in Shang-Chi we again had that similar thing. Like there is Abomination from Hulk was fighting Wong, and it wasn't like, as you said, fanfare. It wasn't introduced epically. It was just part of that world, and it felt like out of the comic book page.
Yeah, back to the spell. So because Peter put so many conditions on the spell,
He was changing conditions. He just said that
Five
let
or
the
six
MJ knew my identity, let the Ned knew my identity, let the Aunt May then Happy, and
and
it
the
is
spell
botched.
gets botched, and Doctor Strange has to like contain it in some spherical cube thing, I believe. And
But we see like a world being crumbled. It
the
is broken.
multiverse is laid bare, basically.
Like a purplish tinge of energy we saw from the Loki.
Which will come back in further down the line. And we see Peter. Firstly, Doctor Strange offers Peter to just go talk with the university.
Yeah, he's get pissed off that why you haven't talked with the person who's doing the acceptance. It's like why you haven't talked to her and came first to me.
Yeah, Peter learns that the basically dean or admin of the university is going for the airport, and he catches her on a highway.
But as soon as that, we are introduced to one of the most popular villains of the films, Dr. Otto Octavius, Dr. Octopus.
So they have a fight. He assumes that this is his Peter
Spider-Man,
Parker.
Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker. And but the interesting part is that what I really liked about this introduction is that this character, he acted the way, he was performed the way that as if he came out of the 2004 film. Nothing has changed. He's just, the first thing that he said, where are my machines, Peter? Because he was there at that film.
Surprisingly natural in his acting, because a lot of time has passed from the movie, but he just picked up where he left off, basically. So did Goblin. His acting was also pretty similar to what he was doing in the movie.
It's like 17 years has passed, but nothing has changed. And it seems that they use a couple of CGI trickery to make him seem younger, to resemble his complexion and appearance that was happened like 17 years ago. But
so Otto and Peter fight, Peter fight, and some of this like Stark suit nanobots get into Doc Ock's like tentacles, and Peter controls them, and he's basically subdues him, and right at the moment Goblin just comes in with his iconic laugh, and
with
Doctor Strange
bombs also it starts exploding.
Doctor Strange just basically transports Peter into his dungeon, let's say. No, not dungeon, it's more of a prison area.
Yeah, prison for the captured villains. So we're introduced that also Lizard has already been captured and there.
Doctor Strange basically explains that people who knew Peter from other basically multiverses.
The people who specifically knew that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, those people.
Everyone just comes in here. And I didn't like how the capturing of Lizard was glossed over. Each like different villain
every villain
had like a sequence associated with them where they captured
the Lizard is just there.
Weirdly, Lizard was overlooked. He was like a big part of the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Andrew Garfield's films.
He was like a deep emotional character, but here he's just used for basically comedic relief. And
we are also introduced to a very small new equipment that Spider-Man here uses. It's like a web slingshot that whenever he hits someone, it's transported to...
Doctor Strange enchants his gauntlet to allow for him to shoot the bad guys and immediately transport them into the cell. And he orders him basically to find the others.
Because it's his problem. It's because of him.
He must fix it.
Okay.
And Peter scours the net, I believe, with Ned, and finds out like some activity near a power plant or a military installation or something. And upon arrival to the scene, he sees Electro and Sandman, with Sandman actually protecting him.
Again, similar point what I meant with Dr. Otto Octavius. Similar point. We remember in Spiderman 3, Tobey Maguire film, Sandman at the end, he redeemed himself. He redeemed himself, and he was actually talking with Peter as if he's talking with Tobey Maguire and saying that I'm protecting you. What the hell is going on? Why I'm here? And that's it. And Electro is just attacking.
He still just wants to get back to his daughter. He has no other like motivation for evil, doing something. But Electro is here, and for those who are interested, why his like colors have changed. He basically tells that the energy of this world is different, and he likes it.
And he actually changed a lot. Obviously, they both got captured again. They're in the Sanctum Sanctorium in Doctor Strange's underground.
He had that dumb blue bald guy look in the Amazing Spider-Man.
But here he is yellowish.
Just Jamie Foxx.
And that's the thing I really like when Lizard actually recognizes him, because they both work in the same.
Each from like the villains who are from similar universes actually recognize each other.
Yeah, and he one of the things this film works really well with the references that it makes. Lizard, after recognizing him, says that there's something different about you. Your teeth were different. You have a comb over here. What is something different? That is really well that creators of this film respected previous films that came before this.
I mean that short prison banter that they have between each other actually sets the like their characters really good, because in the previous movie, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, Electro was
just a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, I don't know. He wanted to become energy or something, but here he is actually given a character. He's shown to be like power hungry and ambitious.
Ambitious, yeah.
Yeah, and the charisma that Jamie Foxx normally has on interviews and real life is not normally reflected in his characters.
In that film specifically.
But here it shines through.
Yeah, he becomes much more of a memorable character with a personality himself.
So with others, like with basically our villains all in one place, the only one remaining here is Goblin, because we haven't seen him yet. And we cut to
Norman Osborn just hiding his glider.
Yeah, he breaks his iconic mask. Which again talks like in the Tobey Maguire movies.
Yeah, again, lots of respectful homages and references to the original films.
So by breaking the mask, it signifies his personality shifting to that of his normal self. And he comes to Feast, which from comic book readers would recognize as basically a shelter in New York City.
And from the latest PS4 game, people would know the Feast.
And he basically tries to find Spider-Man so he can go back to his world.
And here we see like a very broken, very scared, lost Norman Osborn.
Who just wants to get back to his son.
So that was again the last moment that he was thinking about before his demise in the latest film. So again,
with all of our like villains in one place. Peter and Strange basically try to decide their fate.
Yeah, but they disagree on that, because Doctor Strange, with no bullshit attitude, just tries to send everyone back and finish this botched spell. But that's the thing, all the villains, actually it starts when Dr. Octavius says to Norman Osborn that you're dead, you've been dead for years.
And they basically realize that each of these guys died fighting Spider-Man.
So with that, as I said, Peter and Doctor Strange start to disagree, and they have a short fight, but very memorable one, because again usage of mirror dimension.
As trippy as the fight scenes in Doctor Strange, and I mean,
kinda Peter defeats Doctor Strange.
He incapacitates.
Yeah, personally for me, I didn't like the last dialogue bit is just said
Yeah.
that like magic beats math
Math
beats
beats
magic.
magic.
He's just
Yeah.
like, okay, Peter, you know geometry, let's figure it out, and that's
Yeah.
it. He beats Doctor Strange that way. Sure, okay,
Just-
understandable.
Yeah, that wasn't completely believable because, as Doctor Strange himself said, that he is the master of the mirror dimension.
Yeah, yeah.
So Peter basically steals
That
Strange's
cube thing, yeah.
ring
Mhm.
and the cube,
Sling ring, yeah, that for the using for teleport.
and he decides to find cures to the conditions of
Yeah,
these villains.
that's the thing here. Like I first thought that because he would be easily manipulated by the villains because
He is manipulated, as we later learn.
but he wasn't manipulated as easily as he was manipulated by Mysterio in the
Yeah.
second film. He was just literally handed over greatest weapon, the glasses,
I mean,
to
he
Mysterio.
is-
Here
He
because
is
of
a little
this-
bit hardened because
Yeah.
of Mysterio.
Also, because of the goodness in his heart.
Yeah.
He wanted to cure them, not to send them directly to
Yeah.
their death. Maybe like this whole film could have ended. They just said, "Okay,
Yeah, just press the button.
Yeah, I have captured all the villains. Let's send them to their death."
Yeah.
So he brings them to the apartment,
Yeah.
and actually this was a cool scene.
Happy's
to see.
apartment,
Happy's
which
apartment.
he uses to basically run away from the press. and
Yeah,
the public.
yeah, and we see all the villains in the living room. It was a
Yeah.
good scene.
Like,
Like,
goofy scene
goofy
with
scene, but
Electro opening the TV without using the remote.
yeah, the Sandman
Sparking the
sitting
TV.
on a sofa trying to
Yeah.
take out all the sand.
Yeah.
It was a good scene. So they try to cure, as you said it, and the first one to be cured is Dr. Octavius. They actually create
Yeah.
the chip, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. They did not forget that from the old films,
Yeah.
that everything with his tentacles went very well. Only the chip that controlled him,
Yeah.
it
It basically reversed its own function where it would normally have allowed Otto to control the arms.
Mhm.
Here, the arms control Otto. He even mentions how he hears 4 different voices.
and now they're like the voices, the
Yeah. He
silence.
becomes just a normal happy guy we see in the first half of the
Yeah,
film.
yeah, yeah. He literally returns to that warm, kind, that teacher-like figure to
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
So, seeing this, the other villains just come on board with the idea of them having been cured.
They went to figure out how they could suck up all the energy from
They're
Electro.
basically stabilizing Electro, how to cure Norman,
Yeah.
maybe Sandman too.
And that's the thing. Then we're introduced to Norman just acting a little bit weird. And this film shows the spider sense, how it works. Besides, we only seen it in Far
Yeah.
From Home when he closes his eyes and fights with drones.
Yeah,
Here we see that
apart from instinctual work, it's more of a prediction system.
it predicts that something is wrong around here.
Yeah, and Peter gets this like a distant sound.
Premonition, kind of
Yeah.
a premonition that there's something wrong with Norman Osborn.
And he webs up Norman's hand, and it is revealed that the Green Goblin side of his personality has
Returned.
taken over again.
It has returned, and
Yeah.
he kind of does a small little pep talk about uniting. And as soon as
Among the villains.
among the villains, and as soon as they finishes, Electro takes off the
Inhibitor
inhibitor
thing, yeah.
that will suck out all his energy and return him to
I was
be a
kind of
normal
rooting
human.
for it to finish because I was timing the like little
And yeah, it
blue
was
lights.
until the
Yeah,
last,
just
until the
a
last
little
line.
bit time,
Obviously, that's film cinema magic.
Yeah, by the way, we're shown like a generous amount of scenes with Joe Jonah Jameson throughout the movie.
yeah. Don't
Yeah,
forget about that.
with him first time being shown in a basement, like
Small
a conspiracy theory.
with the green screen on his
Yeah.
back. That was the video that we see in the first minutes
Yeah.
of the film.
And throughout the movie, he basically evolves into a
Big-
whole ass
big-
studio
yeah.
with production teams. Just because he rode the line of Spider-Man being Peter Parker.
Yeah, and
capitalized
coming
on
from that, like the Jonah Jameson followed.
Some anonymous guy tipped off Peter's location and he
And
arrives
they-
at the scene.
They followed him. As soon as they come, chaos ensues.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Norman Osborn exposes bomb there. Sandman runs. Electro.
Yeah, everyone escapes.
Yeah, Electro
and,
zaps Dr. Octavius, and that's it.
yeah, and we see Green Goblin versus Spider-Man fight, which is completely visceral and
Yeah,
brutal.
it's-
They break the whole building, each floor.
It's like a hand-to-hand
Yeah.
fight,
and he
but
went completely psychotic for a second there with Peter hitting him and him basically not responding. It reminded me of that scene from Batman v Superman, where Batman tries to punch Superman
No,
with no effect,
this
basically.
like really greatly showed the other side of the Green Goblin. Like obviously they cannot say that it's a super social serum, but it's somewhat similar to
It
that.
is similar. He is like a military researcher, so
yeah, they mentioned
he
that,
has
yeah.
the super strength to basically challenge, and in this case even overpower Spider-Man.
Yeah, but here again, he overpowers him. He beats the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And before leaving, he
He basically
hits
calls his own
glider from the back, and
and
it hits Aunt May.
yeah.
And he throws a very final gift for her. It is a pumpkin bomb,
Okay.
and it explodes. And we have another character development for Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Yeah, his
He loses
Aunt May
his aunt.
dies.
Yeah. And this scene.
But before she tells him the iconic line.
Yes, that this scene is important in that sense. That
with
great power
with great power comes
comes great responsibility. This line wasn't in MCU. Like it wasn't actual. We've
They
seen.
substituted Ben like Parker's line to her.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically,
Like
she serves the role of the dying uncle in this
yeah,
case.
in Tom Holland's films, we've seen it in 5 films, like in Civil War, in Infinity War, in Endgame.
No mention of
No
responsibility.
mention. No, Homecoming, far from nothing. Here, that idea is introduced, and we see that he's very sad. This was a very emotionally like
Charged
strong,
scene,
emotional charged
But
scene.
still, it was weird how throughout the previous movies we were just shown glimpses of like Aunt May, not like realized as a full character like the other 2 movies.
Yeah.
Where in Andrew's case she was more like
Nurse. She was a nurse.
Yeah, she was like a nurse character, and in the other she was more of a grandma for Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
But here she's just mentioned, and because there are so many of her scenes in this movie,
You obviously know that there's something
like,
will happen.
you
to her.
realize that.
But
Okay, they're doing this because she will die or something will
and
happen.
this acts as a character development because obviously this Tom Holland's iteration of Peter Parker lost someone important to him, probably Uncle Ben. We never saw him die. We only heard glimpses of it. We saw him losing Tony Stark in the last film, Endgame, last Avengers film. But here, this is much more important for the character of Spider-Man. And he lives off, and as you mentioned, Jonah Jameson followed him throughout. They see all the destruction, they record it, and everyone in public again sees that.
I really like the shot where he is in, I believe it was Times Square again, with him looking at a
billboard, big billboard of John Jameson talking about what happened, like they're showing the destruction, what happened, and he's just silently watches it.
Yeah, a really cool looking shot that was.
As if it came out of the comic book.
Yeah.
It
and
has
then
that energy.
we cut back to basically MJ and Ned, who are seeing the news and are trying to find basically Peter, right?
And fortunately, Ned has the ring that the Doctor Strange
which in the
had.
previous scene sparked in his hand, like showing his innate magical talent.
Yeah, so he was just playing with his hands while asking, "Where is Peter Parker?" The teleport started to.
The portal opens up,
yeah.
and Andrew finally comes in.
Yeah, that scene, that was the scene
the theater exploded.
Yeah, everyone was just cheering on, everyone was screaming, everyone was applauding.
They hyped up the scene where he came out running and 5 seconds later his mask was off.
And that's it. That's the whole thing that for 1 year and a half people were expecting because of the leaks, because of the rumors.
And till the end of the movie, Andrew basically steals the spotlight.
Yes, in every scene that he is. Like maybe I personally a little bit prejudiced, but my favorite Spider-Man portrayal is Andrew Garfield's portrayal, even though he had less films and his films were
even for those who don't like the Amazing Spider-Man movies, Andrew's performance here, I believe, will convince him to be the superior Spider-Man.
For everyone.
Or the Amazing Spider-Man.
We'll return to that too. Then after him, we're introduced to the second Spider-Man, who's also one of the iconic.
Toby comes in, but he isn't wearing the suit. He's in like a beige and shirt and a jacket.
He's in the plain clothes, and that's the thing. I really like that how they captured the campiness feel of his
He's
character.
basically himself from the previous movies.
Like again,
Yeah.
nothing has changed.
Kind of quirky, nerdy looking guy.
Like
yeah.
nothing has changed since the 2007 film Spider-Man 3. It is like obviously the actor got old, but nothing has changed. It's just the mature Spider-Man that we have
It's
met a
just
long
him,
time ago.
And we get like really good chemistry between Toby and Andrew.
The first
As if
second,
they're
the first
brothers.
since
I
the
mean,
first
they
second.
are the iterations
Of
of
the
a
same person,
person, yeah, and they just hit it off immediately.
Yeah, this was great. Like as soon as they meet, actually, Toby and Andrew first they just
They throw their webs, yeah.
they throw their webs, and we see that they just hit off. They understood that who are they. And one thing that I really remember from the film that I really liked, as soon as Andrew came out of the portal, immediately he says that, oh my god,
Yeah.
thankfully multiverse is real.
Yeah.
I knew it, I believed it. And
Showing his more like scientist
part, yeah.
part, yeah.
And this scene leads to the scene where Ned and MJ find where Peter is
They
standing.
ask where these Peter Parkers would go if they were feeling depressed, as like a safe haven.
Yeah.
And they find like Tom Holland's Spider-Man on the roof, and they try to comfort him.
Yeah,
by...
and this scene, I think one of my favorite scenes from this film, like the comforting scene. Like we see how this Spider-Man says that you can go back to your home. This is not my responsibility. I don't want to this. I'm fed up with that. I'm tired.
And
but
our Spider-Mans come out and tell that
their own tragedies.
This is what being Spider-Man is all about.
Yeah.
It's about getting beaten down and taking it and then
getting
standing up
again.
and fighting again.
Yeah, and both of them talked about how they lost Uncle Ben.
And Andrew talks about how he lost Gwen.
Talking about that scene, like when Andrew Garfield talks about how he lost Gwen, he says that I lost Gwen, I lost my MJ, and he tears up. It's just
I mean, we're shown a side of Spider-Man where he tells that he does no longer pulls his punches.
Yes.
He beats his
like he says that I was in the lowest point.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
We see a more of a darker Spider-Man, which I would like to see more of actually.
And that's the thing. Again, we see very great respect towards old films. Like we're not forgetting what happened throughout those films. And both of the Peters say, with great power comes great responsibility. And as soon as that Tom Holland hears that, it just clicks on his head that okay, this is.
And by the way, we're told that. I mean, everyone knows that Spider-Man has super strength and whatever, but Peter just comes out saying that I want to kill him. I want to kill Goblin. And we as an audience, get to know that yes, Spider-Man has the power to kill all these villains,
but he chooses not to. That is what is different from him.
He has the choice to of either curing the villains or just pressing the button and sending them to their world, but he instead chooses to cure them.
Because if he presses the button, actually the spell is finished. That's it. He has to press the button from the box that you take from Doctor Strange. They will go back to their
commits to
places.
a choice which involves just saving those villains, even though they're villains.
Yeah, if they return there, they will die again. And we see another, probably that the iconic, it will become an iconic scene. We see how all three Spider-Men do science stuff. Yeah, they team up for science stuff. And all the characters again have their own personalities to itself from the films. As soon as they enter in the laboratory, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man takes a lab coat and wears it over his Spider-Man costume, and they literally start to do what they wanted to do. The goal to cure the villains.
And everyone just tries to find a cure for their own specific
individual.
Like Andrew has cured Lizard before, and he tries to do it again. And we see Toby just come out and say that he has been thinking about how he could have saved Norman, so he will get right back on that.
That's the great thing. Like he says that I have been thinking about it, even though Norman Osborn has died like years ago, and he has been thinking about it. This is what again shows that how this iteration of Spider-Man is the most mature one out of all. And we actually get recreation of a very popular meme, pointing Spider-Man meme, like all the three Spider-Man pointing towards
Ned calling him and
Peter
all
Parker
three answering.
Yeah, all three answering. This was a great scene.
So our guys finish up their cures and they
go to the
Get
Statue
up
of
to the
Liberty.
Statue of Liberty, which
Yeah.
was mentioned previously in the movie to have been outfitted with Captain America's shield to commemorate his sacrifice, let's say.
Again, before big fight, there is a pep talk. And
pep talk / bantering, because I really liked how the chemistry of all of them.
That's the thing. I think, like, this is my humble opinion, I will say, that this scene will be everyone's favorite scene, because we see what we wanted to see all those years. We see all those 3 Spider-Mans that we grew up with interacting with themselves.
Like, and we get little glimpses, little Easter eggs of all of them
throughout all their films. Like
they ask each other which villains you fought.
Other than this ones.
It's like interactions between actual like brothers.
Yeah, like actually Andrew Garfield himself said that this is cool. I always wanted to have brothers. And when Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man says that. I fought a big alien with a black goo-ish feel. Tom Holland says that I actually fought purple alien in space, and it leads to one of my favorite scenes where Andrew Garfield said that you guys are so cool, I'm lame, I only fought Russian criminal in a rhinoceros suit. And again, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, being the mature one out of all, says that stop this, why are you talking like this, you are amazing.
To note to the name of the movie,
obviously.
But to also like
we thought this meant this way, that out of all 3 Spider-Man iterations, unfortunately Andrew Garfield's ones are the most lowest rated ones, and like as a films, not as a character, as a films are the mostly the least liked ones, and that one kind of creates the idea that Spider-Mans themselves say that no, you are amazing, and as the Andrew Garfield himself said.
Thank you for the information. I
needed that.
He is in a very dark place, it seems. He said he told during the lab experimentation scene that he doesn't have enough time to be Peter Parker again. So our Tom Holland has his MJ and our Toby has his MJ.
And actually they're working it out as from what he said. And that's the thing. It shows again with how they came through the portals. Like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, he came through the portal as a Spider-Man.
He was basically, he doesn't take off the suit, I believe.
And from their dialogues, we understand that they have been for one day in this in this world, in this New York. So he has been in a Spider-Man suit, and Tobey Maguire actually changed the suit into formal clothes. So it again shows that he has time to be the Peter Parker here.
And we get an allusion to how Tobey's version of Spider-Man has basically his web come out from his wrists instead of a gadget.
This needed to be taught because actually the first time that you shoot through his hand.
Such a weird choice.
But iconic choice. Like now, as soon as you think about it, you think about that film. And our villains, our Spider-Man announced to the world where they are. He
calls
Jonah Jameson's podcast in
the Daily Bugle
in live. He says that I'm here. I'm expecting the villains. And as soon as the pep talk finishes, we have the introduction and start of the big final fight of this film.
Electro and Sandman, I believe.
Electro, Sandman, and Lizard. 3 per Spider-Man. But that's the thing. The action, it's not problematic at all. But the interesting part is that even though there are 3 Spider-Man, it seems that they have problematic.
They're really shitty at teamwork. Because all of them are lone heroes.
They used to work alone. And actually, like that scene after they got their asses kicked, they round up again as Sandman creates a tornado, something like that. And literally, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man said that we suck at this. And Tom Holland said that even though I usually work alone, I worked in Avengers. Tobey Maguire's dialogue is that
the word Avengers doesn't mean anything.
That's great, but what is it? That's the thing. They start to trust themselves. They start to work together, and again, it leads to iconic shot. That will be the iconic shot. It's like the Avengers shot.
The great leaked shot, where we get Andrew basically kicking Lizard's face.
Like we have all 3 Spider-Man swinging together towards the villains. We have them separately fighting, and we see how they use their own style of swinging. For example, I saw that
even the
sounds
sound
of their
design
web
was,
shooting is similar to that.
reminiscent of their
Own films,
yeah,
like own films. And as I said, the swinging in The Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield swinging was a kind of a little parkourish feel. It again gave that feel. We saw Tobey Maguire's that kind of resembles old classic swinging films. Again, we had that, and by one they started to cure the villains actually.
And each character gets to talk a little bit with their own villain.
This was much of a personal note, that because actually, if you think about this, they have cured their villains, so they're not all will die in their universes.
It's as if even the actors were talking between each other with
after
Toby
all those years.
and Otto.
Octavius,
sharing a cute little moment with each other.
After all those years, and
we get Electro mentioning he thought that Spider-Man,
was
with
black
him helping the poor and being a kid from Queens, he thought that he would be black. Again, an allusion to Miles Morales, who hopefully will come out in a
probably
future Spider-Man movie.
I applaud to the choice of reusing, even though they shouldn't. If they wanted, they wouldn't have done it, but they reused main themes of each Spider-Man specifically
during their own scenes.
During their own scenes,
It was like stretched out. It wasn't like immediate.
Yeah.
Because as they got to curing, their own main themes would play from the background.
And only one villain is left, and that is Green Goblin. And
the Psycho just comes out throwing bombs everywhere and breaking the statue.
Yeah, and the shield out of the statue falls.
And that creates like
an arena
call
for
or
fight.
die situation where Mary Jane tries to not tries to. She just falls off.
She just falls, and obviously Tom Holland's Spider-Man just jumps.
Tries to save her.
And Green Goblin takes her out. Before holding her hand.
His glider comes in and hits him. And seeing this, Andrew sees a chance to redeem himself as to what happened to Gwen Stacy, and he catches her and gives a little dramatic scene.
Performance. That was like he holds her and he just bursts into tears.
It's like a redemption for him.
And that's the thing.
Where he's kind of trying to tell that not again. I won't let this happen to another.
And that's the thing. This scene didn't need any dialogues, and they didn't have any dialogues. It was just subtle moment between the actor and actually the character and the audience. Because we, as the watchers of the previous movie, we already know from how that scene happened.
That also was a scene to which the audience reacted very strongly.
Yeah, surprisingly, in the cinema, everyone reacted like with applause. Everyone cheered on when he catched MJ. So after that, shield fell on the ground from the Statue of Liberty.
Tom and Goblin just fall on the shield and have a little fight.
Yeah, they have a very brutal hand-to-hand fight.
No
flying, no web shooting, nothing.
Even though Andrew and Tobey Spider-Mans were trying to convince him that it's not worth it to kill someone, it's a path you won't. If you go down, you won't be able to come back from. He attempts to overpower him and beats the crap out of him.
And then takes the glider.
Yeah, and wants to stab him, and we get Toby catching him midair and
just
basically giving a very meaningful look. Like he's trying to act with surprisingly from Toby. I would have expected him to say something cheesy, but he gives this look which has like a couple of meanings where I've done this before.
Don't go through this.
It's not worth it.
Don't go through this path. Like again, this scene.
And because they're both Peter Parker, they understand each other.
And it's stopped, but Green Goblin, the scheming backstabber he stabs Tobey Maguire. Thankfully, nothing happens.
Yeah, because he has been stabbed multiple times before, and specifically by the
Green Goblins.
Green Goblins, both iterations.
And then Andrew gives the cure. Green Goblin is cured.
And meanwhile, we see the multiverse breaking down with Strange trying to hold it all together.
Doctor Strange comes up when Ned, with
he opens
MJ,
the portal.
they try to open a portal, and out of that portal comes Doctor Strange.
Who has been apparently hanging 12 hours
over the canyon.
Yeah, over the Grand Canyon.
And one thing to talk about the Green Goblin, like as soon as he cured, as if like all the things that he has done came into him.
He realizes what
he has done, and it just becomes again that same lost, broken Norman Osborn that we have met in the feast scenes. And when we, as you said, the multiverse starts cracking up, the world starts cracking up.
Because of all the conditions Peter put on Strange's spell at the beginning of the movie, that kind of creates an instability where Steven says that he can't no longer hold it, and that all the villains are coming out. Basically.
That's the thing. This was the interesting thing. A lot of silhouettes, lots of figures were coming out.
But you noticed.
Yeah, I noticed Rhino. There was Scorpion, and that's the thing. This was the introduction that a lot of villains could have come here.
Yeah.
So this again creates a possibility of a lot of introductions in the future films, hopefully. And
as the multiverse gets explored more, we will hopefully see more iterations of Spider-Man, more iterations of their villains, because we've yet to see basically half of the roster of Spider-Man's villains.
And Tom Holland's Peter Parker asks Doctor Strange
how to reverse this.
Is it reversible? And he thinks that maybe if we do the spell, if everyone forgets about me,
we remove the conditions and perform the spell normally, where everyone will forget
that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Peter Parker is not just the fact that he's Spider-Man, but the fact that Peter Parker even is someone. You forget everything about Peter Parker.
Connected about him. That creates that. And Doctor Strange kinda agrees because he's sad about it, because he will also forget about Spider-Man. He says that all the people that love you, we love you.
We'll forget.
Are you ready are you okay with this decision? And he goes, he first talks with both Spider-Man again.
He gives them a hug.
He gives them very heartfelt hug, like his big brothers. And after that, are you alright? Are you good? And we see that Toby is being supported by Andrew after the stab. And he goes on, he
gives his last goodbye to his
friends MJ and Ned. And we see him swinging off, and the spell has worked its magic.
Doctor Strange performs the spell, and everyone forgot who he is.
And probably
we see a cut back to George and Jameson talking in his studio about
Spider-Man being a menace, a threat.
That menace destroyed our statue. But he says that
if the Spider-Man was so brave, he would have taken
shown
off
his
mask.
identity.
So we now know that
everyone has forgotten about his Spider-Man's and Peter's identity. Everyone. He is completely alone. MJ is dead. And not MJ, Aunt May is dead.
Before that, after the spell happens, we see all
he tells MJ that he will find her after everything, and he will make her remember.
Before that, let's not forget that after the spell finishes off, we see how all the people who came from the multiverse returning slowly to their places, and actually none of the villains are dead. They're all cured, so they will return to their individually separate worlds without dying. So this is an interesting spin too.
That's like a good thing to think about, because in all the movies the villains right before they're dead gain a bit of like a clarity where they
redemption
they immediately switch off and try to help. This may be like trying to explain how that happens. And
they're talking about how everyone forgot about the Peter's identity, and he goes into a coffee shop.
He first himself like a note
to say to say to MJ.
He goes into the coffee shop where MJ works and starts to explain her who he is, but cuts back when he sees the bandage on her head, which probably reminds him of how he could put them in danger again.
And he doesn't. He chooses not to introduce himself.
Finally, Tom Holland's Spider-Man makes a truly Spider-Man, like a Spider-Man thing to do.
A decision that makes.
And the Spider-Man we all know and love, like, comes to fruition, let's say.
Yeah.
Peter is alone, he has nothing or no one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We see when he goes to the grave of Aunt May.
Yeah.
Happy comes
Even
there.
Happy doesn't remember.
Yeah, Happy says that. How do you know her?
Yeah.
And that's it. Now he doesn't have anyone. He doesn't have the support of the Stark Industries, and he rents an empty apartment. And the film ends
with him creating a new suit,
a homemade suit, like the one that very resembles the ones from the comics. The one resembles cartoons, very blue and red. That is very bright.
Classic,
the classic suit, and it ends obviously with the swinging, and that's the thing. Like, this obviously it took them 3 films to make it, but now this is the Spider-Man, as you said, that we all know and love.
I'd say that this was actually the first actual Spider-Man movie of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes. Because the previous movies were just high school movies that just happened to have Spider-Man in them.
And his costumes were usually being held by Stark Industries. Here, obviously, again, he had some Stark Industries things, but here the film ended on a note that this is the Spider-Man that we all know.
He's probably gonna get a job at
probably Daily Bugle, taking his pictures. That's
Spider-Man,
the thing. And from the reports that there is a new trilogy coming off, so it will be really interesting to see how this character will move on forward, how Tom Holland's iteration will move forward. Because personally for me, until this film, out of all 3 Spider-Man, Tom Holland's character was the least developed one. Because we didn't see Uncle Ben die. Like, we didn't see how it changed him. We didn't see him lose.
We got all that in this one.
Yeah.
With the help of Andrew and Tobey just boosting him into his true Spider-Man self, let's say.
Yeah.
So the movie ends on that note, and we get like
first end credit scene.
Yeah, like a credit sequence with a song that normally happens, and we see basically Eddie Brock. Who is sitting in a bar in Mexico.
It's probably similar to, spoiler alert, to the Venom 2's post-credit scene when he is transported into somewhat of a Mexican hotel or something similar to that. And he's drinking, he's talking with the...
he's trying to catch up on recent events.
Yeah, what happened, like that there's an alien, purple alien with stones, a character called Hulk.
And this coincides with them pressing the button and sending all the villains back. And so he's sent back also, but he leaves off a trace of the venom, like the
symbiote has been left.
It just moves and it ends.
Yeah, so we
get the longer credits now, which I actually like in Marvel movies because it gives you a chance to sit at the cinema and talk between yourselves. And we get, for the first time, I believe,
a very big, long...
basically a trailer for the second Doctor Strange film.
And this, not to say it because you will be interested to watch this.
I believe it will come out in a week or so to you.
Because obviously there will be people who shoot it and post it on the internet, but it will be great to see it by yourself. And this one kind of creates a bigger hype for Doctor Strange's story, because we already know what happened in this film and we're interested what he's going to do about the multiverse.
The consequences of his actions of tampering with space-time and all the realities in the multiverse.
So I think this film is a very entertaining film. We can't call it a masterpiece,
you can't call nothing a masterpiece.
But this film is really great, entertaining film, as a superhero film, as an action film,
just
as a Spider-Man film.
It's really good. It had no pacing issues, very little in terms of plot holes.
The villains worked very well.
The chemistry was really good. The
Especially
cast
with the
was
3
really
Spider-Man.
good.
Their chemistry was off the charts.
Everything was done expertly, apart from the shots and the cinematography, because they were inconsistent.
Sometimes,
on one hand, you had really original looking shots, and on the other you had the most generic shots I've ever seen.
But
like the previous 2 Spider-Man.
Yeah, but that does not take you from the film itself. Again, it is what it is. It's a really well done fan service film.
It has a lot of rewatchability, right?
Yeah, and this is the film, I will say, a better legacy film than the films that we've received. For example, Star Wars: Force Awakens, Ghostbusters: Afterlife, because this film respects what came before. The film, how to say it respects what came before it. It respects what will come before it, and it respects all the audience members.
It references the previous movies very gracefully.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to do the same thing with the Force Awakens, where they introduced the old characters,
but it was a rehash.
Did a rehash of the same movie, and basically tried to lure in previous fans of the previous trilogy. But in this case, it's more of an homage and celebration of what was Spider-Man and what will be. Yeah.
And I think this one last thing to say: this film makes a great case that after watching this film, the other previous Spider-Man films become much more important in the sense that those who haven't watched it, they will be interested to see Andrew Garfield's performance, Andrew Garfield's films, Tobey Maguire's films, and those who have already watched it, they could rewatch it with much more warm feeling, because they already will know what will happen to their characters and how they will be important in the development of new Spider-Man character. And hopefully we will receive much more different films that have this kind of energy to it, with respect to other films.
Right now, this feels like a mini Endgame situations, because we saw the clash of 3 generations. So what I'm hoping to see is them building up several different Spider-Man movies, with one being Miles Morales, for example, maybe a Spider-Gwen movie, maybe we get Andrew Spider-Man's sequel, and each of them at the end just
have a crossover,
like
something similar to Spiders
into the Spider-Verse.
That will be great. That will be great. So thank you for listening to us. And before I forget, for those who are watching on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell. It really helps us out. And if you're interested in listening to it as a podcast, you can check it out on Buzzsprout and Spotify. Take care of yourself. See you next time.